But how about them Worlds of Warcrafts?
Oh.
What's that?
I don't know.
I feel like I haven't been doing anything.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Server Restart In. It is a weekly World of Warcraft podcast hosted by three opinionated players who like to get together to discuss their thoughts about the current state of the game. My name is Jim. I am joined again by Kristen. She's back.
Hello. Wait, where was I?
You weren't here last week because you were doing work for school.
Oh!
And Brian.
Hi.
And yeah, Kristen's back. I guess she just was so embroiled in schoolwork that she didn't realize that she didn't do a podcast.
Did not. Actually,
it was just Brian and I. Do you not remember
when
had
did
a conversation?
You record it?
While you were sleeping.
Oh, I'm like, I
pretty
didn't
sure
even
we
notice
did
that.
It, or no, we did it Friday night while you were at work.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
Knocked it out to get it done.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I'm like, wow, I
had even asked you.
I know, I remember that. But I thought that because I was like, oh, how's that going to work out? Because we usually record upstairs.
I made sure that
that's
I did it at a time when you were not around because I didn't want to be distracting from you from your insane 4-week class.
Yes.
That you were super stressful over and you completely destroyed. So
thank you.
Anyway, we're a couple days out from patch 10.2.5.
Is this the patch where we get to do AI?
It is. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Because
is this what it has to do with?
I don't know. I got some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. No,
okay. Then you saw the same thing.
Are they still gonna have the AI in it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the new night
AI
elf.
Imagine that someone has a great birthday present for you.
AI
shows
raids.
up to your birthday party, and then they take a shit right inside the box.
Oh, so typical Blizzard stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Go, Jim, go.
Let's just talk about it. Follower dungeons are coming out. Follower dungeons are 1 to 4 players, and then it fills out the rest with a AI follower.
Yeah.
I mean, we're calling it AI, but I mean scripted follower. Dragonflight normal dungeons only.
Okay, that was what it was.
Yep. It's gonna launch with a 10 dungeon daily limit.
Wait, what?
Yes, 10 dungeons a day with followers.
That's ridiculous.
So,
and that's on your account.
Wait, is it say that? Oh,
10 follower dungeons can be started per day per account.
Okay, so let's hear what they had to say.
Oh, I'm sure it's for farming, but come on now.
Or botting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it could also be overstressing the system.
Jesus, who buys this is stupid. Who
Why would you
buys
plan
gold?
a feature that you can't support,
Yeah.
then turn around and completely neuter it right as you launch it out the window?
Yeah. Who buys gold from WoW anyway when you have the token, right? So who cares about bots and fucking...
So here's the thing,
Well,
right?
I don't really care about bot. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's not about bots. It's more about infrastructure and support.
And I would agree with that because you're doing a new feature. Most people haven't been doing it on the PTR. So once it goes live, everybody's going to be doing it.
I mean, it's going to be, I assume this is one of those things where they're going to limit it in order to help curve the initial response. And then once it gets normalized, they'll open it back up.
Right. And that's what they said. They said they're actively going to monitor the impact of this feature once it's live in all regions and look into adjusting the limit at some point in the future.
10 per day, though?
That's terrible.
I mean...
That's terrible.
It's an incentive to not constantly...
Do it.
Well...
It's an incentive to not do it. Like, I'm not going to do it now. That's stupid.
Well, it sucks because now you have to kind of like if you want to try it with different characters and different roles, you got to kind of plan that out. Like,
that's incredibly stupid. God damn, F Blizzard.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? It's they're not easy to do. So they take a little bit of time.
I mean,
so you're looking at 5 hours if you for 10. That's a lot of time in a day. Not everybody plays for that long straight. It could be longer. I don't know what the thing is. And you can only do 5 in an hour, right? When you're blowing through old instances.
Let's start. So if you get 5 minutes into it and you hate it and you switch characters.
Yes, and I think it's a resource thing, and it's because it's like you said, it spins up the instance and creates those things. So again, I just
because there's no way that they would do it client side at all. I'm not even sure they like technically could, but
yeah,
because that would automatically like feed into cheating.
Yeah,
or at least exploiting.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that they just don't know how popular it's gonna be. So rather than have it like kill everything, they're gonna choke it initially and gauge the response so they know what they have to, allocate for it. Maybe.
Seems like a bad planning issue, right?
Yeah.
Like for sure they are a service that has the ability to scale up and down to a certain extent. And this is not like server fracturing stuff. You know what I mean? Like they probably can scale this up and down depending on demand. So to me that sounds like a piss poor planning problem. And it could have well been just because it's in the middle of like it's one of the mini patches, right? It could have been less planned and more like, here's an idea that we want to try out, which is perfectly fine, but set the expectation ahead of time. Because
they should.
If you say 10 per day to 10 start per day, that feels like,
it should have come out when they announced it. Period.
Yeah, I mean, they should have planned to say, "Hey, this is going to be intensive if that's the case, and we have to manage expectations up front." Yeah. And then as they sort shit out, open it up. That feels way better.
It's way better
and then
than
we could have been
4
like,
days.
"Oh man, did you hear they're bumping it from 10 to 20? Whoa!"
Yeah,
so, whatever. I mean, I don't even think I started 10 when we looked at the PTR a few months ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure I didn't even start 10 at all.
I mean, for the
most total,
for the most part, I don't think it's really going to have that big of it's that big of a deal because I don't think that many people are going to hit that limit. Most normal players aren't. But yeah, so most people that know the dungeons aren't going to be using it for a learning tool.
Right now.
Now, yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, I would say no. I would say that's not going to be the case because learning more so means not the dungeon itself, but the roles, classes, and the roles, right? And so when at this point we have 3 times whatever, how many classes we have, right? At least 40, probably different types of classes that you could play and figure out. But there's a lot to experiment with for people to get, you know what I mean? And we're talking about like the start of the lull into the next expansion. Like, this is a great opportunity for people to learn different roles and then jump into like a different class and play that while they're waiting for the next expansion and stuff. And so, like, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, you're probably doing the right thing, but again, the communications fucking sucks. And I'm sorry, but like, I can read how this may work from the outside without knowing anything about it and immediately say this is a planning problem. Like, you should have already seen that it's going to create scalable problems in whatever infrastructure you have, and you just cap it in the beginning. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of a kick in the nuts without, just being upfront about it. It's
fuck.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It looks like reactions are kind of mixed. Some people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Other people are like, that's stupid.
That's me. That's stupid. I mean, I get what you're talking about, right? And that does make sense, but it's
The cap isn't what's bad. It's how they handled announcing it.
yeah.
It's like it should
They
have
wait until the last minute to
Yeah, it should have. They should have
Like literally the last minute too.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about it.
Yeah.
It's like they should have said when it went on the PTR, hey, these are on the PTR. We're trying this out. We may make some determinations. And after a certain amount of time on the PTR, they should have said, cool, from what we've seen on the PTR, we're going to be limiting it in retail when it goes live.
Maybe for the reason, maybe people have been doing it a lot on the PTR, and that's why they're limiting it, because they've seen that.
Then they should have said that as soon as they made the decision.
I agree.
And maybe they didn't make the decision until yesterday. I don't know. Maybe they were gathering a
then
bunch
they're
of
pissed
data.
poor at collecting data. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
maybe they
like
were.
something was planned wrong. Like.
Yeah. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So eventually they'll figure it out, and it'll either be
something that, so they're gonna, this is the problem, is it's gonna be one of those features, right, that because they've strangleholded it and limited it, right, people don't do it.
nah.
And then people don't do it, and then it doesn't get supported because people aren't doing it because they limited it so much at the beginning. That's my concern,
I don't think so, because I would say that once it's in, people are going to use it. Whether or not it's the current people, you got new people coming in all the time. If people are going to be like, oh, I can go in and not deal with people and learn this on my own, yeah, they'll do it. I mean, I don't think it's going to just like, I don't think that this can be killed. I think that it's too good of a system for it to
Yeah, and it's
wither
kind of
and
like
die.
hands off at a certain point too. Like,
Yeah, once you, I mean, the only thing you have to do for it once is just set up the AI for the dungeons, and that's it. And then they can do it while they're designing the dungeon. You know what I mean? They probably already have that.
and even then, I would argue that they probably shouldn't have scripted it down to the dungeon itself. I understand from the learning perspective, but they could have had a great opportunity to have AI that just orbits around you with certain roles, because generally dungeons work that way anyways. There's somebody that knows where they're going and what they're doing, and they would just respond that way and not be fully scripted. Not fully scripted, right? But it's relatively scripted to the dungeons. And
But
it would have been.
Well, it depends though, because if you think of Brackenhide, right? Brackenhide has, you have to free the Tuskar before the first boss is activated. So that kind of has to be hard-coded. Plus, you have the ability to either be the leader or have the AI show you where to go, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, yes and no. I think some things you can make generic, like, oh, you can flag certain spells with AI interrupt priority type things. So that way, the AI knows, oh, I got to interrupt this kind of thing because it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can,
Right. Well, yeah, and I'm just saying, lift enough of the implementation out that it's not just a Rails thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know.
Because at that point, the rest of the game is really cut and dry.
Yeah.
I mean, if a shield's up on a spell, we can't knock it. If there's not, then we can. And if you know that you're the tank, you're one step ahead and you have aggro and yada yada yada, all that stuff. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of like the monkey paw coming out with the thing so far. That's kind of the only.
The thing that's just frustrating is if you want to just try to so I'm thinking of it from a Mythic Plus perspective, right? And mainly thinking of it from a pathing perspective in Mythic Plus, right? Where you're trying to find the optimal paths of the things that do stuff. Certainly as a tank, right? Because that is not something that I would ever really do. But, I don't know, just trying to figure out optimal routes.
I would say that if you're doing Mythic Pluses, that as a tank, then you can just go into a normal by yourself.
Yeah.
And check out your pathing.
Yeah.
So follower dungeons don't really do you any good.
I guess you're right.
I would argue that because you can go in as a tank by yourself and still normals.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess that's true.
I don't think that these are intended to be, because one, it's
So
just.
who are they intended for?
I would say that they're intended for people that are learning a new class, so they can kind of practice their spell rotation without having to whatever, or people that it's kind of shitty that they're going into the Dragonflight normal dungeons, which
I think they should have done at least mythics.
Well, it's not even the level. It's just the fact that the dungeons, everybody's done them.
Yeah.
You've done them leveling
Right.
up. They're old news. So it's really not about learning the dungeon, so to speak. This is really just putting it in to test it. Honestly, this is the testing of the feature. It's not really a good use case for it because it would be nice to have had it at the beginning for people that wanted to learn the dungeons before they dip their toe into actually queuing for them with real people, you know?
Just another thing to look forward to in the next expansion.
Yeah, it's kind of like a preview, I would say, of this feature. You know what I mean? It's like it's going to be there. People are going to be able to try it. They're going to be able to see how well it works. They're going to be able to like kind of tweak things.
It will be nice when you're leveling characters if they allow it to count for story completion. You know how you get a quest.
Yeah.
It will be nice. That is one of the nice things about Final Fantasy is that with the follower dungeons in Final Fantasy, because it's so the game is so narrative driven.
It's a storybook game.
Yes. You get stuck if you're a DPS and you're waiting in DPS queues to try to keep pushing that story forward. And sometimes people are stuck for 45 minutes or whatever, and that's hard when people don't have a lot of time to play, right? So they introduce the trusts, and then that didn't happen as much, right? Because you could just go in with a trust and
progress the story.
And then you don't have to worry.
Yeah. Well, the thing though is that in WoW, the dungeon quests don't impact your ability to
complete the story. You're right.
They've
You're right.
taken that out. It might have used to be that way and stuff like that. But I don't think there's been any like major campaign stuff that required you to do dungeons.
No.
So
there was some with was it BFA? There was some stuff in BFA that required you to do, but it was race, it was like alliance specific. It was an alliance thing. Remember
like
they made you
Vampire
do
stuff?
I don't remember.
No. It was Borealis.
Yeah.
It was in the Waycrest Manor because they took that out.
Oh, did they?
Yes, at the end of BFA because.
Oh yeah, of course. At the end when it doesn't impact anybody.
Well, because it was a pain in the ass to do the story.
Yeah.
And progress the war campaign when everybody was past it.
Yes.
Right. So they ended up like removing that.
Yeah.
Which is good. You shouldn't have story tied to group content.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Especially if it can, like, again, it was at a weird time because it's like you couldn't solo it at that time because it was during Shadowlands, I think, when they finally did it. Because, like, you couldn't solo those dungeons when you were leveling, so you couldn't progress the campaign, and it was obnoxious. So you had to, like, spam the group chat or whatever to try and find somebody to do with you and stuff like that. Or hopefully you knew somebody that could carry you through and stuff like that. It made leveling Alliance Death Knights a pain in the ass. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I might level. I might play with my monk a little bit today.
But yep. So yeah, follower dungeons are coming out. We're also getting the reclamation of Gilneas. Apparently, there's going to be transmogs and mounts, or a mount or something like that associated with that. I still have no idea if it is Alliance only. I have a feeling it probably would be given Greymane's disposition toward yes. So that's coming. So I guess you know what? Just fucking give the Alliance all the fucking cities. I don't know.
Fuck it.
Horde got a little bit top of Undercity got a little bit of stuff in it, but like not enough. There's not, it's not like a full city. I don't know if the Night Elf city, Belemeth, is going to be like a full city or whatnot. That's coming out. That's like the Night Elf settlement. So at the base of the world tree that came into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. Dragon riding is going to be available worldwide. I kept thinking that it was when we were going to get the other mounts with dragon riding, but that's not until the next expansion. I had to keep looking at it because I'm like, oh yeah, no, we're going to be able to do this. Like, it's not it.
I know.
I'm like,
It's
fuck.
exciting, but
But you'll be able to dragon ride. You just won't have the dynamic flight, which is when all the mounts or most of the mounts can do dragon riding, and then you can toggle between normal and dynamic, stuff like that. But anywhere in the old world where you can fly, you can dragon ride, which still means that you can't do it at the Night Elf and the Draenei starting areas, because you can't fly there. You can't fly in Silver Moon City and all that shit.
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. It's so fucking funny.
Are they fixing that in the expansion though? Because they talked about going back
Probably
to
not.
Kel'Thuzad.
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 I don't know. Is that the next one or is that the one after?
Oh yeah, it's probably one after.
No, the one after might be. I don't know. One of them.
They talked about it though, didn't they?
One is Kel'Thuzad, one is Northrend, and then I don't remember what the other one is. I would assume at some point they're going to have to.
Well, the third one was Northrend, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. We should know this.
Wait, the third what?
The trilogy of expansion stuff. Like one of them's going back to Kel'Thuzad because they're being attacked again by, I forget, like void shit. And then there's gonna be shit up in Northrend. We're going back to Northrend, which is probably when we'll get Allied Race Tuskar.
Are we getting?
That's a prediction.
Oh, I'm like, wait a minute. What? I know I have been out of the loop for WoW, but holy crap!
Oh, didn't you hear they're porting WoW to the Unreal 5 engine?
Oh, it's funny.
It's going to be an exclusive for PlayStation 5.
It's funny. I actually really enjoy the art of WoW. I think they're different. It's different, and quite honestly, I think the art team carries them, or has been carrying them.
In a lot of instances,
the last couple of expansions, I think that the zones have been absolutely gorgeous. You know,
and the nice thing
especially this one for like, and it's not even just the art, but the design itself, like for the user experience, where you ride a dragon that fast. In the, from the capital all the way down to the soup kitchen area, is this slope where you just coast through all these things. Like, it's amazing. Like the I don't know what you call that, but I'll say the ambiance of the game when you play it from that perspective. So
yeah, no, you're right. The art team, the direction and stuff like that, like, just even though it's not hyper realistic, it's not as cartoony as like fucking WildStar was.
I enjoyed WildStar's
I'm just saying WildStar kind of almost had like a Looney Tunes-esque feel to it, where like some of the stuff
I gotta look it up because I don't recall.
I don't mean the design. I mean like the interactions. Like,
Ryan, if you want to see pictures, I got pictures of WildStar. Let me tell you, I have an album from it, because I enjoyed WildStar. I liked WildStar very much. I thought it was an awesome looking game. At the time, I had more time to do more of the attunement stuff for it, so that wasn't something that was a concern to me. Right? They made the game for hardcore people, which was why it did not succeed, unfortunately, because the casual people carry carry games, right? The people who have an hour to log in and want to make some progress on something, there are more of them than there are of hardcore gamers, right? Not
You
saying
say
that
hardcore,
either.
but you're talking about hardcore in the sense of like
time.
no,
Well,
an MMO though. Like
okay.
it's because it's like
Yeah,
it's
no,
such a weird
it wasn't
niche of a.
Yeah, it wasn't because like hardcore dedicated to the game. It was dedicated to like hardcore content.
I mean, it wasn't that. I don't think so. It was. I think it was
You
more.
You never did
I
the
didn't
in-game
do
content.
Sure.
And
but
but I mean, it was
the
when
leveling experience wasn't difficult.
No, that wasn't what was difficult. The difficulty was like the end game bosses and stuff like that. I think like they made them like really fucking hard. Like that was the whole point, was it for it to be, yeah, maybe grindy and stuff like that, so you could get like to get the gear and stuff like that. And
Not
like,
as grindy as Ion though.
well, that's because
It's hilarious because it looks like they took a chunk of the engineering stick in WoW and turned it into a game.
Well, so the people who made the game were from Blizzard.
Yeah.
There were people from Blizzard on that. So yeah, which I mean, of course makes sense because
everybody works.
Everybody works. Sure,
Right.
everybody works for Blizzard at some point, right?
Not yet.
No, but they all kind of trade people and probably go back and forth between studios, and I don't know.
Interesting.
It was I enjoyed it. I couldn't get anybody to play it with me. I was in the beta and I kept trying to give people beta keys and nobody would fucking play
Because
with me.
it was a fucking action RPG.
Nobody would play with me. I was like,
And well, that was also what well, no, it came out right before WoD came out.
Terra was another one that was action RPG.
I liked Terra too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Terra too. But I mean that was because
It's so funny because any other MMO, like if it's the same rails as WoW, I just struggle. I can't. Like my brain has so much limited space for like another. And I think I think that I get nostalgic for these games, like Ultima, right? It's got its little place in my head. EverQuest does too, even though I wasn't super hardcore.
I
at
fucking
EverQuest.
installed EverQuest and EverQuest 2 again off of Steam
Yeah?
or whatever. Fuck no.
yeah, we tried to play it.
Fuck no.
I couldn't do
Well,
it.
it's like EverQuest
I
one
couldn't
is
do it.
impossible. Like I reinstalled it, and then like remember I was telling you like you get a newbie set, you can collect a newbie set, and you literally coast from like 1 to whatever.
Yeah.
You could even get like experience potions and all kinds of stuff. I think, but I don't think that's where the actual fun of the game would be.
Well,
the fun of the game would be to get on a progression server.
That is the problem with most of these games. Is most of these games focus on end game, and they don't focus on the journey, because everybody wants to be max level and nobody wants to focus on the journey. Nobody wants to.
Well, that's the problem with the modern MMO, though. And I think that's what differentiate. Well, I mean, they do it now with Ultima, but Ultima's also been running for like almost 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? It's like I don't think that they updated their beginner experience enough in those games, like to the degree that.
Oh yeah,
no.
Like, how do you though? Think about even for WoW.
How did they do it?
WoW still skips over 90% of their content.
I don't care about the story, right? I'm not talking about the content. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about how to fucking play the game.
Well,
because the controls are vastly fucking different. WoW, at least they did Exile's Reach, which is a completely whole new thing, which teaches you all the different stuff, shows you how to look for things on the ground, gives you a couple different quests, tells you how to fucking attack.
Some of those older games still stick to that whole, like the 3D dungeon games that used to be on computer, right? And even Nintendo and stuff, like where you go block by block and block. Yeah, and then so like it was one of those things like you pick it up and you figure it out mentality, and so I don't think they've ever bounced away from that. I know Ultima did add like an island like not that many years after its launch where you were protected and you could get to a certain percentage of a skill level before you actually go into the regular world. and so you can stay there and learn how to do stuff safely. EverQuest, I don't recall there's a huge gap when I played it, but at the time that I stopped playing it back in like 04, I think, that's when they started getting like queuable dungeons, and even at that point, like it was still there's nothing. I mean, you get in and you start walking around and you try to figure it out, because
and that's the
EverQuest
thing.
was one of those things like you had to type in chat to have a keyword to talk to an NPC.
Yeah.
Like hail. You could hail somebody and they might talk back to you, and they'll highlight a word, and if you say that word in some context, maybe
it'll
they would respond back to you.
Yeah. The thing is, though, another thing of it is, what the fuck I was gonna say? God damn it! I'm getting
Sorry.
Old. No, it was gonna fucking Jesus Christ.
I mean, we're like you're talking about like persistence versus really like
talking about how they don't have like the intro stuff. Like WoW kind of with Exile's Reach adopted what has been happening on console games for a long time, slowly introducing like new moves and how to use the keys. Oh, push this button to dash. You know, like they kind of took the instruction manuals for those games and put them into the game. So now they don't have to print manuals. And you know what I mean? Because heaven fucking forbid you print a goddamn fucking manual and stick it in the game. Well, like when WoW came out, I'm pretty sure it had a booklet that came with it. I'm sure EverQuest and EverQuest 2 did too, that you could read and could give you some advice on how to do things. And WoW kind of incorporated like the current iteration of that from console games into Exile's Reach. And those other games really haven't.
Yeah.
You know, at least, you know, it's hard to go from a game you know to a game you don't know without any like type of like really clear direction. And it makes it hard to get into, because I'd like to do it, but like, Jesus Christ, does it look horrible? Holy shit. It's like, oh my God. I'm like, what the fuck is this Roblox
Which one
shit?
did you try first?
I did EverQuest 1 and then EverQuest 2.
Oh, okay.
In that order.
Because EverQuest 2 is vastly different from EverQuest
I played
1.
EverQuest 2 when it was current and stuff like that. So, like, I started and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I am. I don't know how this fucking shit works.
I spent all my time at the launch collecting shells, I think. Because you got they would sparkle, you know, and you run over and you could grab it and add to your collection. That's what I was doing.
I don't know.
I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The cool thing about, like, I mean, of course, there's the bad part about like EverQuest is that, you know, even if they were to introduce something, right, it's the harder parts of it is the communication and then understanding how to add your spells and when to how to manage the life cycle of your character is really the biggest issue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like the spells will kind of guide you in terms of what you can do as a spellcaster, and then the a fighter type is really like a couple buttons and that's it. So but it's really like you get into these big zones and it's like, what do I do? Because there's not a whole bunch of quests to do. You just go out and start killing some stuff and selling
and that's the other thing
items
too, I guess, is I'm used to like there being some sort of like introductory thing to like at least introduce you to what's going on. And it's just like, I don't know. It would probably take a little bit more time to sit down with it and actually.
Yeah, and no, honestly, like there's no, like I couldn't sit down and do it again. It's just not possible. Like if I had, even back then, like we're struggling to find people to play with.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
In those lower level zones in order to actually even just kill mobs.
Yeah.
Because mobs are so fucking hard. So
and that was the problem that the Warhammer Age of Reckoning, right?
Yeah.
Had. It's like you had all these beginner zones and you had all these public quest things, right? And if you came in late, when people moved on, there was nobody there to do it. And stuff like that, and there was no incentive to go back. And it sucks because that game was. I like Warhammer.
To me, that would be the perfect instance in where AI could fill in for people like who weren't there, and then maybe as people start coming in, the AI starts disappearing.
They just die
off.
What
I mean? Well,
They let them die.
Oh, I forgot I have something to do. I think I left the stove on.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Well,
Right?
no,
That's a great idea.
You have a threshold where it will
And it
spawn
supplements.
AI and AI.
AOI.
Ew.
AI!
It would spawn AI NPCs to kind of do that, and as they die, new ones would spawn in, unless a certain threshold. There would be like thresholds. If there's this many players, only ever have this many, and keep spawning them until you have that many NPCs. And as they die off, you spawn new ones. But if more players come, it lowers that threshold and it balances out. And as they die off, they just don't spawn anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that kind of system would look like.
I don't know what their hardware would need to support that, or
you're talking about a game from fucking.
Let's just say let's make it like that type of AI should be dumb. It should be normal.
Yeah.
Like game AI where they just go attack the nearest thing and that's it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be super smart.
Yeah.
And they've had that AI for decades at this point, so.
Yeah.
But then again,
why are we
the
calling
public
it AI?
quest
Is it AI?
The public quest should be
Yes,
dumb in those
it.
regards too. You know what I mean? Like there shouldn't be complicated things that you need to do to win it. If you expect it to be supplemented with AI, you know what I mean? It should be a kill certain number of mobs.
Jim, I absolutely hate how AI is like this broad term now, because
it is.
The only reason I said that based on what you just said was that there was the documentary from Blizzard, like for their 20th anniversary or whatever it was back in like 2010, that they talked about the guy that worked on StarCraft. And he talked about working late nights, like with his newborn and stuff, creating the AI for StarCraft. And so it's like when you hark back to like real AI in the way that like, even in the way that it may be scripted to a certain point versus like where, machine learned AI, right?
Yeah.
Machine learning builds a model that can be inferenced and that creates this modern AI. There's a huge difference. I wish there was a differentiation to it.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, right? It's like you say AI, and you say AI right now, if you can say it. It's like wintergreen.
AOI.
AOI. And wintergreen.
Wintergreen AI.
Wintergreen.
Yeah. But like you think like ChatGPT, you think like the Git Copilot, stuff like that you can like talk to and it talks back to you. That's an AI. It's an artificial intelligence. Well, okay. I mean, anything that runs.
I think it's fair to say, like, you could write a little script and call it AI if you'd like, because to some extent, it's going to be at least intelligent enough to work with you. But that's the basis of computer programming in general, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know, like you're talking about like the StarCraft, like in the campaign, like your opponent stuff would be doing stuff. Yes, I guess it's a form of artificial intelligence, but I guess because there's no, like, if you just call it AI has its, like, this whole, like, coming from, like, the sci-fi world, like, AI is, like, autonomous. It's not artificial, right. It's autonomous intelligence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like AAI, artificial autonomous intelligence.
Which is what they would call something being sentient at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which none of it is. But
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, no, yeah, okay. God damn it. You'll be back.
I mean, yeah.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I don't want to get hung up on that. We want to talk about the Azerothian Archives, the AA.
There's more?
Yeah,
stuff?
There's more coming out.
Oh my God.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Oh, wait, there's
Azerothian
more.
Archive, that's like the, it's History of the Dragon Isles, unique cast of characters. There's a bunch of different things for that you can do, and there's a bunch of different outfits and stuff that you can do. There'll be stuff for like digging up stuff, excavation stuff, techno scrying is the thing they're called. So that you can use stuff to like, you get goggles to look at stuff that happened in the past.
Is it archaeology?
It's kind of like the evolution.
Like a progression of
It's a side evolution of archaeology.
We've totally talked about this.
Yeah. But then there's research. This is probably what archaeology is going to turn into.
Right.
Which is fine.
And it definitely should. It definitely should.
Oh, because like it shouldn't, you know what? If as a profession, leave what's in there. But if you're doing something that is, because really, what did the profession do? You had a chance to get mounts, you had a chance to get like weapons, and like a recipe to make a mount and all that.
I think the issue with the profession itself was that it was more tedious than it was.
It was tedious.
Informal, like
yeah.
It was not
even
fun.
though you
It
were
was tedious.
doing these things. Yeah, you can go into your book and read stuff, but people don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like you don't.
Right.
When was the last time?
But it was the same thing. Like you're hot, you're cold, you're cold, you're cold,
Yeah.
you're hot, you're
Yeah.
cold. And it's like I
didn't mind the digging stuff.
I liked it at first, but like the replayability of it suffered
Yeah.
immensely for me.
Yeah,
like
I
I did
do
it when
it
it
on-
came out at first, got the skeletal mount raptor,
Mhm.
and then
I
I just fell off from there. I hardly ever did it after that.
I farmed the crap out of it so I could make the mount.
Sandstone Drake.
The sandstone, I don't think it is the sandstone drake. What
It's the violet sandstone
yeah.
Drake.
Yeah.
The two violet, the double mount. I farmed the crap out of that so I could make that, and then I made it for a bunch of people, and then that was it.
So this seems like it's going to be a way to kind of capture insert like old lore like bits and stuff like that, but give you something to do. And it, like I said, there's different things. Excavation, techno scrying.
What if they
and research.
added that scrying thing? What if they added it and then like gave you away? Like they didn't tell anyone, but added these little hidden scenes all over Azeroth in common places. Like you could go to the place where like Arthas
fought Illidan.
ended, or like the cave. Remember the cave where you got to go get the hammer or whatever it is? Yeah. And then like you do it and you could actually see something, you know what I mean? So you could actually just go to the random places and they would pop up these like historical scenes or something.
This is like you'll do stuff, you'll find things, and once you find it, your goggles get calibrated and you witness a scene from the past to give context about that item or do a small story. So they're kind of doing that. It not like they're hiding that stuff out in the world kind of thing. Like I'm wondering because they but what about that fucking detective shit we fucking did? Do you remember doing that? The detective storyline, trying to suss the guy out, and you had to get the thing from the goblin to find the clues, and you had to go out and do all the fucking clues and come back and solve a mystery about who was trying. That's why like the innkeeper in the fucking Roasted Ram Tavern changed because the other person was a bad.
I didn't do that one. Yeah, I didn't do that.
That's great. That's a great thing. And like hopefully they'll add more stuff like that in there. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. And that's content coming in. It's not end game content, but it is something to do, and it's and whatnot. So,
I mean, and that is an important thing, right?
It's
putting out content for people who don't do end game stuff.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing, right? We're kind of at the end of the expansion. This is the perfect time to try new features. That's why at the end of Shadowlands, they did like the Season 4 with the Faded Raids. They're doing that again. But they're introducing follower dungeons so they can start figuring out how to make it better. They're adding in these Azerothian archive shit, which they can now use to figure out how to incorporate going forward and find stuff in the past or in the older content added into. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's going to be fun. They're going to get the Outland Cup coming out, so dragon riding races in the Outlands. That's coming out.
I don't really like dragon riding races, honestly.
That's fine.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
fine.
not a big fan.
We're getting character customizations for trolls and Draenei. So new hair colors for trolls, a new skin tone for Draenei, and customizations for the Warlock Tyrant and the Dark Claire demons.
I kind of wish they would update character models again, because I think they look terrible. If
Really?
you look at Draenei, specifically, their skin looks like it's that painted. It looks painted. It doesn't look like skin. It looks like.
So.
And I don't know if that is
part of that,
going for that or what, but I think it looks terrible.
I think part of that is you're fighting against the resolution the textures were created for and then bigger resolutions coming out. I think that it's suffering from that.
I think they need to update it or whatever.
The problem with updating it and adding in higher texture things is that now you're increasing the workload and you're increasing the required specs to play the game, which could alienate a bunch of people. You know what I mean? So it's a weird balance. It's like probably...
I just think it looks terrible.
Probably coming up soon.
I always wear a hood on my Draenei because her face looks so... It just looks painted. You know, like it looks like it's... Now, I enjoy artwork, but I don't enjoy artwork in my video game. I mean, I enjoy the artwork in my video game, but you know what I mean? Like on my character. It just... Go look at it. Like go to the character creation and look at a Draenei on a... I don't know that my screen isn't that big, right? Like, I mean, it's a widescreen, but it's not... You know, some people have ridiculously, the 4K. Mine's not a 4K. Is it a 4K? I don't think it's
14,
a 4K.
It's 1440.
But isn't a 4K
isn't that the next step up from 1080? 1440? Isn't that... I don't know.
4K, I think, is a specific thing, though.
Whatever.
But, like, if you go to create a new character... And then you look at, like, the Draenei and females.
No body type 2?
No, they don't have body types.
Yes, it is. That's what you picked.
Oh, I see.
There are no male or female for body types.
Oh, no, she's female. I'm sorry. It just, like, and then you go to the hunter, and you go to the faces, like, and you look at their textures, like, it just looks...
I mean, they're generally ugly, though, right? They got it right, I think.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
I mean, that's a, completely...
I think a lot of them are all the same type of things, and it's just how they're highlighting it and whatnot. And maybe there'll be a graphical update sometime in the future. Probably sooner rather than later. Technology's getting pretty good, so... Drakther are going to be able to do dragon riding. Sora will basically be dragon riding. So right now, Sora is just kind of like a mini dragon riding for the Drakther. They kind of jump up and they can do a few things and then they have to land. Mm-hmm. It'll essentially become a racial dragon riding thing. So, which I'm wondering if...
How are they, like...
How are they what?
Oh, well, so hold on. Does dragon flying... Does it change going forward? Are they taking away the skills and stuff?
No.
Well, the skills change based on your mount.
Only the only mount that changes on is the Griffin.
Storm Rider one?
Yeah, the Storm Rider one.
Which you would assume if you get more dragon riding mounts in the new things that they would go forward with the new...
I don't think that they're doing that. Maybe, but they're just getting dragon riding abilities, the normal stuff. They'll have access to vigor and all the abilities, and it's essentially a dragon riding mount. Is what they will be, which makes me wonder if they have the ability turned on for ride sharing, where you can click on somebody's dragon riding mount and turn into a little whelp and follow him. And I wonder if you can do that with the Drakther. But. So, anyway, yeah, that's kind of that. It's kind of, the 16th is also when there'll be a new Twitch drop. It's a Grim campfire toy. It's basically just like a bunch of bones and skulls and a blue fire.
Oh, okay.
So.
I mean, that's really it for like the, patch itself, though, in terms of content, right? There's
yes.
You have a little bit of the tree stuff going on.
Yeah, Belemeth and stuff, the new Night Elf area. They did put some stuff out for season 4. They've decided to make it so that the community as a whole can vote for which tier set bonus and transmog is going to be available.
Yeah, that's not going to go well.
So you can vote for each class.
People are just voting for the worst things.
Yeah, people are assholes.
Yes. People are just voting for the worst things. Like, it's shocking to me.
Again, but they're using worse in the current sense. It doesn't mean that that's going to be.
No, they're literally going and like, okay, let's go vote for this, and other people's like, that's so messed up.
I understand that, but that's currently the worst right now. That doesn't mean when it comes out that it will technically still be the worst. They could update it to make it good because
so one of the tier sets for druids, right, was especially good with one of our cooldowns, right, that they have since nerfed to the ground, right, and people are voting for that in the hopes that they'll make that cooldown good again.
This is another experiment.
I think that's a dumb experiment.
I think what it is they didn't want to make up anything new.
Of course they didn't want to. But I don't think that they should have, I don't think they should have made it a votable thing. Hello, have you met your community? You know what I mean? Like, that is asking for fucking trouble. Now, I'm sure they could rig the numbers because there's not, and be like, okay, well, this is the one that won. And probably is what will happen, especially if the terrible ones.
They specifically said, please keep in mind, we are going to update the power of the set bonuses to match the increased power of the new gear in Season 4, so any bonuses you choose will be tuned to be as strong as any other. So, if that means that they have to adjust something to make it more powerful, either the set bonus is just going to get the flat increase, or they'll tweak the abilities that go with it.
Yeah.
So I think that they kind of hopefully took that into account. So
I didn't really vote on any others other than my main because
same.
I don't play any others than my mains, and I don't have I feel like I don't have an informed choice and I don't want to screw anybody else.
That's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
Not like the monks that are going, everybody go fuck up all the other healers. Set bonuses so that monks can still be good.
Yeah.
And it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think that's terrible.
It's a dumb thing. And people that do that are stupid and should be just, I don't know.
Pooped on.
Pooped on, yeah. Pooped on.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of poor sportsmanship.
It is.
And
I mean, it's kind of funny to joke about it, but to actually fucking do it.
The problem is that somebody makes a joke about it, and people are like, oh, until you get the people who are like, oh, let's actually do it. You know what I mean? So it's funny to joke about until it actually occurs.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know, and then you're like,
it's not like we have a public platform or anything like that to really influence people to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, no, like, seriously, it's like even if we did, it's like, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's stupid. And like, you're not the kind of person that anybody wants to play with.
Yeah.
I mean, other than those kind of people. It's just like, people that, it's like the games that when you get people that exploit or cheat or whatever, they get sent to jail, or they like in like the first person shooter games, you put them in a lobby full of all the other cheaters and stuff like that. It should be like that. If you get caught doing something like that, you should just be sent to a server where it's just people like you, and you just live your life out there.
Cheat together?
Yeah, cheat together.
Cheat together? Okay.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good point to kind of wrap things up. My mouth is getting tired.
Aw.
Because I had surgery in my mouth. Brian, you're funny. All this John has got my
all this
my mouth
John. Not all this John.
All this John. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. You can check us out at serverrestartin.com. We got links to our socials and stuff on there. I'm not saying those anymore. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.